Hello and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. Quick middle of the day update. Overall, not too much has happened. Bitcoin rallied into resistance. Hasn't broken it to the upside, not yet at least. Yeah, it might still do that. We had a bit of a rejection perfectly at the 78.6 retracement level today here at 28,820. However, we haven't got a clear downside impulse yet. And the way it's going, Bitcoin might try for invalidation of this smaller degree 1-2 setup. And as I explained in the last video, if we break above it, it would most likely reset Circle Wave 2. So if Circle Wave 2 is being reset, then resistance is at 29,500. Looks very strange, this pattern here. It is not clearly impulsive to the downside. We had a potential 5-wave move to the downside yet, but Bitcoin is obviously maxing out resistance right now, and that looks a little bit as if it plans to invalidate the small 1-2 setup that already started. As explained in the last video, we really need at a minimum a break below 28,115 roughly, or 120, at least below yesterday's lows, to confirm or to at least have a strong indication that the third wave to the downside has started. Until then, certainly the upside pressure can be kept alive. And now we are watching here in this resistance area. If we see a reaction, this is certainly the area where the bulls and the bears are fighting. And only the market will decide if it will hold or not. At the moment, the trend is still up short term. Yeah, you can see that you could even add a trend line, very simple trend line here. It's often the case when that breaks, that is when the move to the downside is starting. However, so far this trend line hasn't broken and it's holding quite well in resistance. So yeah, this is now the area where we need to be observing the price action. Obviously, the forecast was for the price to get into resistance. And now this is the next pivot point that has been reached. If the price breaks above it, then, and I will probably move it over, just sort of reduce the size a little bit. Otherwise, you will not be able to recognize anything. So if I'm just showing these, if I just show the two next fib resistances, yeah, these are the next key levels to watch. If 28,820 breaks to the upside, then we can look at higher towards 29,110 and 29,500. And a break above that would again indicate that yellow wave B will be reset even higher. Where are we? Here. Or that even, let me zoom out a bit. Yeah, I don't really want to call that wave 5 already. It would not be a very clear 5-wave move. If you can see this, alternative bullish count obviously indicates the white wave count, possibility to rally to 3132K. It would be a 1, a 2, the wave 3. This would be the 4, but time-wise, the wave 4 is quite short compared to the wave 2. We would need to look at the structure when we get there. But yeah, I would really find it difficult to call that already a completed wave 4. Not really happy with that. If it's a wave 4 that's unfolding here, which could of course be the case, you know, this is the alternative bullish count, then I would look at it as a potential triangle, and that should go a little longer, okay? That might go a little longer, but you know, if this is a wave 4, then I would at least like to have another higher low, because then we might argue that we're dealing with an A wave, a B wave, a C wave, a D wave, and then an E wave, yeah. And if it's forming another higher low, then we have potentially wave 4 complete as a triangle with a wave 5 to the upside. Okay, so that's sort of the bullish alternative. But for now, we are holding resistance, and above that level, we still have 29,500 to watch. So yeah, Bitcoin still holding very well. A lot of altcoins coming down. Also Nasdaq weak today, the S&P rather weak today. Bitcoin seems completely decoupled from the stock market. We already observed that not many months ago, but some months ago, that this was starting when the stock market came down quite strongly while Bitcoin was holding really well. So yeah, it's interesting how well Bitcoin is holding, whereas many of the altcoins are actually suffering quite a bit. There are only a handful of altcoins that we're analyzing that actually are in potentially bullish structures. For example, Solana Aave, Rune potentially, yeah, and maybe a couple of others, a few others. There were a few others. But yeah, most altcoins still haven't given us enough information that a lasting low is in place. Also, Bitcoin, well, the structure to the upside is just extremely choppy. Ether is behaving much better, but even Ether is starting to morph right now. Talked about that this down here might form again also a bit of a larger reversal, then we form a larger triangle. So extremely difficult and also boring price action because it doesn't really feel we make a lot of progress in the chart. This is, the worst to move in these ranges. It's really difficult. But yeah, I think the parameters are very clear. I mean, that's all I can do really. I can share those relevant parameters for the relevant counts and scenarios. Of course, there is a bullish scenario, but it would need to show us more proof. I am still looking at the context. I'm still leaning towards further downside. And so far for ETH and many other coins, this has worked out nicely. Bitcoin just doesn't want to come down for some reason from this out of this forever range. But we'll see how it turns out. Bear in mind that overall on the daily chart, we're obviously tracking bullish scenarios because we assume that the bear market low is already in. It's just that it doesn't really want to create impulsive movements to the downside. So it's been holding in this range here for a while. So yeah, we'll see how that develops. The parameters are clear, and I guess very shortly we should have some clarity because Bitcoin is already in this decision area here. And I mean, unless this trend line breaks to the downside, obviously, the trend is still up, and if we break above that key level, then the next one becomes relevant. So yeah, that's my update about Bitcoin. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Also, if you're interested in stocks and shares, then also check out our S&P 500 and stocks service. Link is in the description. You can find updates, daily updates about the S&P 500 as well as 20 plus stocks, depending on the tier that you select. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.